Hello and welcome to a new episode of Focushoops Presents, where we speak to some of the amazing people involved in women's basketball in the UK and around the world. My name's Kaz Bullock, and joining me today as my co-host is Mystics Division 1 player and Basketball England's Future Youth Committee member, Esha Nayar. Esha has been filling up people's timelines all season long with her fantastic interviews with players, coaches, behind the scenes people involved in British basketball, and I'm super excited to have her with me today. And we are going to be speaking to player development coach and head of female basketball development for Basketball Scotland, Kerri Kuzbyt. And Kerri has played professional basketball in Germany, Australia, and Spain. She's the founder of Unbounded Athletes, which has a goal of helping young females become elite players. And you might have most recently seen her stepping into a head coaching role for the Under-14 Girls for Scotland at the Tri-Nations tournament last month. So with that said, I'm very excited to start our conversation today. So we'll welcome in Esha and Kerri.
Thanks, Kaz.
Thanks for having me.
No, really excited that we could get this started and have a conversation today. So let's just jump into it. So Kerri, you're from Winnipeg in Canada. Mm-hmm. How have you ended up in Scotland via Australia, Spain, and Germany through basketball?
It's pretty amazing what that kind of orange ball could do for you and who you meet in the world, but as well as kind of the goals that you set for yourself. So for me, I always wanted to play professionally after my 5 years D1 in Canada. And with that, it was just more so understanding, you know what, if I have this goal and I still love the game and I still want to play it at the highest level, anybody could achieve it, really. And the only person that's going to stop you is you yourself. So that kind of started everything. After university, I started in Australia. I missed the signing period just because it was offset. I actually ended up finishing my education degree out there in Australia. And then I decided not to stay out there and do like a practice player essentially for the year because I missed out on the import signing to hit the European season because I was always so fixated about it ever since my university coach took me in our rookie year to Germany. And we were a part of a pro camp. And that kind of just exposed me to, oh, I want to do this after. I'll see you in 5 years. So, and that's essentially what kind of happened. Got exposed to it. And then from there, I did a little brief stint in Spain. And then unfortunately, things didn't happen the way that they were supposed to in Spain. And that's something that I communicate to a lot of young athletes and athletes that ask me as well as the pathway that I took because I went without an agent voluntarily. For a few other reasons, being an import, being a year out of basketball after Australia. And I'm a point guard. Point guards come dime a dozen. So I just wanted to be a bit more desirable and not have kind of agent fees, all that sort of stuff. So the amount of knowledge that I learned, whether it was like from training, going, researching, contacting this coach here, this coach actually knows this coach, like the world is actually so small. And things unfortunately didn't happen in Spain because like I got scammed in Spain. They didn't take any money off me. I really wish they kind of did take money. They took the whole season away from me. Yeah. So I had to go back home and train once I left Spain. And then I continued to wait, and then Germany came. And then I then had an amazing, great 2 years in Germany playing. I could have still been playing. I could still play today if a team wanted to phone me right now. Cool. People ask me why I stopped, but I stopped because I finally just felt like at peace with it where, oh my, I actually achieved not only everything that I wanted to, but more. And then for me, how I'm kind of just, built in a sense, if there's nothing else for me to chase, I'm not going to chase it. And if I still had that feeling of something to prove or still needing something, I would still be doing it then. But for me, playing professionally was more about living a life overseas, playing the game that I love because I still loved training. I still do love training on the court and off the court to this day. But it was more so also for the younger generation, the younger Kerri, that she didn't have that, hey, what is this pathway? How can I get over to that side? I didn't have somebody ahead of me to kind of steer me that way. So I really was doing it. And I tell everybody this, yes, a personal goal for me, but majority of it was for every other female after me to go play overseas, because all you ever hear of is the Americans going overseas and playing, which is understandable. And not a lot of Canadians continue to do it afterwards. So I really was doing it for all those younger kids to, hey, avoid the stuff that I did and have that kind of just knowledge for them that I've helped out. Many of which Canadians I love seeing going overseas now. And it's awesome. So I really kind of just, loved how much that the game gave to me, but I was really now excited to the next chapter of what can I do with this game now and give back to it for as much as it's given to me. So
that's amazing. And I think that's so important to be able to take your experience and to give it to the next generation, because just those things that you mentioned there, going to Spain, there's so many things it's not just basketball on the court, is it? It's everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I would even say and personally for me, it was the off-court stuff that made the game. I remember very vividly, I was at a point where I was so close to saying, I think I just have to be real here. Like I've tried this for now 2 years. I did the Australia, I did Spain. I still have no contract yet. I'm working like as much as I can, and just, you know what, maybe sometimes. And one of my good friends and agent, actually, and he never really was, but out of the kindness of his heart, just like helped steer me. And we're still to this day, we have a partnership together. Great guy. And he said, like, no, like, just you're almost there. Like, wait it out. It can happen. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going for it. And there will come a point sometimes where you doubt yourself, or you think, something never will come. But I've kind of realized, and he said, never sacrifice the quality of your life for the quality of the game. So as much as you want a pro contract, don't be desperate to go to a country that isn't going to support you, a club that's not going to put you in the best position when you're off the court, just because you want to play the game. And it just stuck out to me, because I did turn down a few things. Even now, when I was being presented with them, I turned them down because it wasn't going to be safe. It wasn't, okay, that's sketchy, that and kind of like that dirty money instability. No, if I'm going to live in a foreign country by myself across the world, yeah, I need to make sure like everything, like all the ducks are in a row. So that's something that I very clearly communicate to any athlete like seeking out. I say, how are you treated off court? Are they taking care of you? Do they have your flights? Do they have you in a safe area? Just because you have that contract there, just don't go for chasing money or all that sort of stuff. I've seen players run themselves into the ground off of that. And in reality, only a few players can make really a living off of it. And in certain countries as well, Russia, Turkey, Spain, Italy, top leagues. But those players that are kind of just chasing contract and kind of prolonging things, like, you don't want that. And that wasn't pro for me. So, like I said, communicating to them, what is it off the court, because that's what makes the game so much better. It's what, honestly, that's in Germany, especially, that was the best. Going on just like a day trip, anything. And it keeps you there. And what I communicate to any of the athletes that I train alongside of with is, hey, if you have a bad game on the court, go do something else, because you're so much more than that. And you could play it in another sport. You could do it in another hobby. You could be around a certain friend group, all of that sort of stuff. I was never communicated to that when I was younger or even in university. which I wish I was, because then it would just help with, the struggles in life some days. And instead of encompassing and just wrapping yourself in just one identity, because a lot of players will struggle with that. College, university, when that game is done and you're no longer that player, you're thinking, who the heck am I? Well, if somebody tells you, hey, it's just a game, what are you beyond it? You'll be surprised how much you'll actually achieve in the game, how much further you'll go in the game, but also setting you up for after the game.
So it was really interesting what you're saying about off the court in terms of things like when you're looking over to play overseas, how the off court situation is just as important as the on court situation in terms of safety and things like that. Do you think a lot of young girls, especially now, when they're looking to go pro, they completely ignore what off court situations like? Do you think they don't take that factor into consideration when they're looking to go overseas?
Unfortunately, yes, because I remember when I was back at home before I came out here, one player, so she played for, or she had experience with the youth national teams, and she got a contract out in the Eastern, more European countries. Now, Eastern European countries are notorious for being a bit more colder, harsher, not just weather-wise, but like culture and all that. And I was asking her about that stuff. I said, hey, how's this, or how's the league? And inside, I was kind of like, my stomach was doing flips, because she said, oh, I don't know, I just signed, and like just completely like walking in blind, just because it was like, I'm playing pro there, it's basketball. Okay, yes, that's the obvious, but like, do you have your bank? Do you have like a bike? Do you have have you done all of this sort of stuff? Are they setting you up here? And they just don't take that into account. And it's almost the equivalent of like when athletes are trying to pick a college or university, where they just kind of go to the program, not maybe looking at the roster. Hey, where are you fitting in? Hey, is your position actually graduating? Are you going to be sitting on the bench for 3 years? Do they even have your schooling program that you want to get your degree in? So I think it's the lack of knowledge and understanding outside of the game, after the game, that is completely being missed, and is something that does need to continue to be emphasized on, so that they could stay in it, versus they don't even make it to the end of their university career, or most of the time they go home at Christmas at pro, or even that. So I think it's a huge thing where not a lot of people are doing that. They're just getting, distracted by the pro contract, money, just all that sort of stuff.
And do you think that's something that maybe teams can start to embed into their programs, maybe having some kind of education around that as players are coming through the academies and things that we've got?
I think that would be extremely valuable, because it's almost the equivalent to, there are certain like programs within the NFL. Like, I'm a huge sport junkie person. And in the NFL, you have a lot of these players that are making a lot of money, but have no idea how to use it. And they have financial programs. So it would be the equivalent to within basketball. You want to kind of have that life finance course, or kind of just like your knowledge of it, where, okay, when you are going into or trying to seek out a team, these are the things you want to look for. And that's what I was accumulating when I was going throughout it in my personal experience without an agent. Okay, what are the things I need to look for? What are some red flags? What are the things that need to be non-negotiables? And then you start to create a list, and then you start to make sure, because you're going to be your own advocate. And if you're not going to be your own advocate, then you're putting kind of, your goal, your dreams in somebody else's hands, out of your control. And that's something that you never want. And that's something, even for me as a player development coach, when you entrust in coming to me to help work alongside of you to get you to your goals, I do not take that for granted, because it's very hard to trust somebody with your goal and your dream. So I think it would be an utmost benefit, whether it's a consultant, whether it's a former pro player, or even within the club. Like if you take uh, like London Lions per se, right? Or any team, a pro player coming down and giving them that knowledge and that insight and perspective, I think would be like tremendous, not only from the organizational standpoint, from the player. And I always say you want to create a win-win-win scenario. It's a win for you, it's a win for the athlete, and then it's a win for the organization in this instance. So just don't go for a win-win, but how could all the parties benefit? And that would be the best thing in the world. So I think a lot more education on the next steps is definitely needed in the game.
So do you think if there were to be a program that kind of contained what the next steps could be, do you think there needs to be something that shows what they can do after they finish playing? Because I feel like a lot of the time what happens is people go up to college, might play pro, but when they're finished, they're a bit lost. They don't really know what to do. Like as with you now, obviously you're a player development coach. Is that something that you knew you wanted to go into, or is that just like, how did that come about? Because I know for a lot of other people, they might not have an idea of what they can do after they finished their playing career.
Gosh, yeah, no, absolutely. I was I experienced that loss of identity pretty hard within my, I don't think it hit as hard because I knew after university, hey man, I was still playing pro. Regardless, I'm going to keep going with this thing. So if anything, it like delayed my kind of loss of identity phase, which every athlete, whether it's basketball, football, when they end and they've worked so hard for everything and they've come to that pinnacle, and whether they're going to the NFL, the NBA, the G League, Euro League, pro or not, or now they're starting their next kind of phase, but they've always been that person, like I previously mentioned. Like, yeah, every athlete goes through it, but no one speaks up on it. I know I didn't. But a lot of people just handle it very differently, how long it takes them. And yeah, you kind of feel a little lost. And then you're like, oh my gosh. So that's why I communicate it so much earlier to the athletes and saying you could still be relentless and obsessive in your dream, in your goal. But I want you to have at the back of your mind that you are more than this athlete, regardless of whatever sport it is. You're more than this athlete, because at the end of the day, that ball will eventually stop bouncing. And whether it's going to be on your terms, like I made it, I was very fortunate, or most of the time, sometimes the game takes it from you, where you maybe have a career-ending injury. Maybe then something else in life takes you away from the game, and then now you're segueing into this, and you never go back to it. And so the biggest thing for me, the only thing that I really knew after playing pro was, because I got my degrees and I always wanted to make sure that was a priority. One of my goals was I wanted to get a full scholarship so that my parents didn't have to pay for school. And so I just worked really, really hard to ensure just that. And while I was getting a free education, I had at the back of my head, hey, whenever I'm done basketball and I'm a player, I'm going to be this. And for me, it was a high school phys ed teacher. And my mom was a teacher, and I just always loved being around sport. And I always thought I was going to be just that, and then coach just the high school team, give back and coach higher level. No player development remotely close in my head. It only came to be when I was in my last season, because I knew it was going to be my last season, with my player development coach and best friend. I said, hey, Matt, like I want to do this for like the females. And so build up the female side of his business, of his player development. And that's how I kind of started to dabble, but that was going to be on the side of teaching. Like teaching was the main thing. And it wasn't until, because my last season was the COVID year, where I really started to like zoom out and see I'm teaching in the wrong capacity, because player development is still teaching, but it's not in the education system, because the education system and how I just live life and values, they were going like this. And then when the kids weren't taking in all the information that I wish I had when I was 17, when I was younger, it like was a gut punch. And I'm like, no way, there are kids out here that want this information, that want to go. And so I was just in the wrong space. And then that's when I started to say to like, Matt, I think like I want to do this now, like on my own, like my own business. And he was the first one. He said, hell yeah, you need to, because no females are out there doing that. And so fast forward 2 years where I am sitting right now, almost going on 3, we were at the first ever conference he took me to. It was Drew Hanlon's in Las Vegas. Yeah. And I asked Drew, like when I was talking to him for a period of time, where are all the female player development coaches? Because in that entire gym space for the week's conference, over like 200 people were there. Me and Matt, we even made a joke where, how many females do you think we're going to see here, Matt, besides me? And I'm like, oh man, for sure, under 5. Matt, he's like, under 3. And there, 2, myself and 1 other. That's it.
Wow.
And it is a male dominant industry, just like high school phys ed teachers. So I'm kind of always around it, just like the space that both of you are in, broadcasting, interviewing, male dominant. Now you're seeing it shifting. But it's that stuff around sport that I think people like us were kind of used to. And so I knew that, but it was just so crazy to hear him say it. And then I said, okay, I don't mind being like one of a few in the space. I don't mind rocking with boys, but yeah, we need to bring this to the female culture side, because at the end of the day, it's not male female game, it's the game. And so it's bringing awareness there and much more. And the only reason why I kind of like was really remotely familiar with it was because I was a huge Becky Hammond fan growing up and watching her. And she was one of the 2 players. Steve Nash was the other one, why I played basketball. I knew she was like almost behind the scenes player development coach first with Greg Popovich, but pretty much wanting to be head coach, but she kind of took on that role first. And that's where I was kind of like, oh, there's space for this. Like, and there needs to be more people like this, because like I don't mind if I'm coached by a male or a female. And that's why I love like my player development coach. But yeah, what I realized within this last year and my mentors within the industry now, they finally got me to realize like, no, Kerri, you are very unique and different, not only because like your experience as a player, the amount of time and obsession and passion you have for the craft of player development, where you're only continuing to get better, as I'm nowhere near on what I believe where I could be. But you're also a female. And I, at first, always thought, just like in previous spaces, don't take me because I'm a female. If the male is better, take him. I'm going to make sure he's not better. But if that's the case, I will respect game. Okay. Game respects game. And I then started to realize, okay, they actually aren't just taking me for a female. Like I kind of get it and I'm kind of good. And then that's when everything started to shift. And then I really started to like really emphasize females need this. And so, yeah, player development really wasn't on the cards for me until I really started to see like I wasn't feeling that purpose that I knew I could provide to others. And when I did find it, it was the scariest yet best decision and best bet I also made on myself, because I left a permanent teaching contract. I left stability. I left everything, because you can't swap happiness and freedom and, purpose and your feeling in this life for any salary and benefits in my mind. So.
Absolutely. And that's mind blowing that there was 2 females there. That's absolutely wild. And something that I've heard people say a lot, and for some reason it never clicked until I heard you two talking about it in the interview during the Tri Nations. So we're talking about the representation of female coaches and getting people involved. So I've been playing basketball for 20 odd years at least. I never had a female coach till I was in my 30s. And I've always just thought, when I was growing up, it wasn't even something that I thought, oh, I haven't got a female coach. I just never saw one. Like it didn't even enter my head. And it was probably Becky Hammond that was sort of my first awareness of a female basketball coach. And being at the Tri Nations, there was yourself, there was Keely Reid, Katie Lamond, Charlotte Redhead, there was Caitlin Riley and Eloise Ferguson for Wales. There was such a good representation of female coaches, team managers as well at the event. And I just thought, what a great show, and how important it is to have that female representation for younger players.
I honestly couldn't believe it, because I've never been like yourself in a space where every single head coach was a female.
Yeah.
And like you, I didn't have my first female coach until, well, she was my university coach. And then she coached me when I was U17, our version of the national team. But that was the first time. My dad was my first coach. I played with the boys until I was 14. So for the first 14 years of my basketball life, like I started when I was 4. So I guess like the first 10 years, nothing of the girls. And so I was always with boys. And I think that's just also the shift, not only in just like, where sport is going with females, but just like you said, the representation and seeing all the different types of coaches, ages, ethnicities. It's so beautiful to see. And it's something that like just continues just to grow. And you have amazing voices and platforms like the WNBA, NBA players supporting the WNBA. And like I said, it goes back to game recognizes game. And I always knew, like, the boys that I was training with, they never saw me as a female. They saw me as another player. It didn't matter. And that's how I always wanted it to be. And you even mentioned it, Kaz, like, it's so important for young females to see it, because truthfully, and I said it in our interview, like, if you could see her, you could be her. And it goes back to why I wanted to play pro, not only for myself, but for the younger generation. Oh, I saw Kerri, I can now do it. And there's that relatableness that no matter what other player development coaches are out there, and bless mine and all of my friends and all my mentors in the industry, all of them are male. There's only one other female who I'm really close with and is doing great things in the space. But at the end of the day, like, if you tell me, hey, Kerri, yeah, you could go play pro. Yeah, cool. Like, for a guy, you guys have like dime a dozen leagues. For females, there's not. So when it comes from a female to say the exact same message, it hits completely different. So that sense of relatableness there, absolutely huge. So for the fact that the young females could see her, they could experience her. And also the coolest thing is that it was from other countries. You're not just talking about, hey, we're just in England and yeah, we have all these female coaches in England. No. They're being represented from other countries and other places of the world, and even other places in the world, because I talk differently. So I am from another place. So it's just super cool. I thought it was just so special. And until both of you kind of acknowledged it, and then I reflected on it afterwards, I thought, oh, yeah, that was something never before experienced and very unique. And it's that shift that is just so cool.
So I think, sorry, go on, Kaz.
No, you go.
All right, so I was going to say, yeah, the Tri Nations, it was great to see all the female coaches across all the countries, like you just said. But I think, so for me in basketball, like, I've always had, if not a female head coach, has always been female assistant coach. Quite lucky at Mystics that we have that. but I know that a lot of other places obviously don't have that. And I think through my sort of career, I guess, in journalism, media, whatever, I think role models that I've really been an advocate from like the start, because I've just started my coaching journey as well. That as well, like I wouldn't be in the position that I'm at the moment if it weren't for having other female role models to look up to, other ethnic minority role models to look up to. Like there's so many layers in it. But do you think that, like, especially organizations and national governing bodies, do you think they do enough to promote that this female coaches around? I think they need to do more to kind of highlight and show other females that where there is an option for you to go into coaching and inspire other people.
I think the biggest thing, it was for me as an athlete, it's something that I express to athletes. All we ever want is an opportunity. Then the ball is on our court, whether we choose to take that or not. And so I do believe, and I see from other sports, I see from other organizations, they are interviewing females. They're providing them now that opportunity that wasn't there. Whether, there'll always be those organizations, those people where, are their intentions true? Is it really like, do they want this female, or do they just want to, check off the tick box? We already know our candidate. We're going to hire the male, but we're going to show that we hired female. Like there's always going to be those people. Okay. That's regardless. But the fact of the matter is that they're at least now providing them spaces and opportunities for them. Even look at JJ Redick, who he hired as his first assistant, who was the G League Coach of the Year female, but then played at Duke and played during his time as well when he was on the boys team. And another example of game recognizing game. If you're good at your craft, then it doesn't really matter. But I do think organizations are doing a better job of now actually understanding, okay, we want the actual best candidate for this job, the best fit, not somebody who looks the part, but who's going to provide us the value, who's going to provide us what we actually need. So I do think because of the movement and shift and all of those people who have advocated, even talking about, like, if we look back at Megan Rapinoe, what she was doing in like 2012, 2013, right, where everyone thought she was off her rocker and everything else, she was the first, like the quiet voice that just kept coming and humming until you can't ignore that voice when it is now so loud. And same thing with the WNBA now. Like, hey guys, that league has been around for 29, 30 years now, because it's almost as old as me. But it's always been there. And and all those younger players, like even the rookie class this year, has always credited the people before them. Hey, you guys set us up here. It's almost like the equivalent of you passing off the baton in the last 4x1, but you gave me that lead head start throughout the race that happened in the first 300 meters. So I do think representation and opportunities are being given by organizations a bit more. Some a bit more faster than others. Some still have yet to come on to it, but that will come from different factors as well. Cultures will play a huge part into it. The current, organization, who is in charge, what do they believe, right? But I think at the end of the day, there are so many more opportunities. And like I said, that's the only thing that you would really want as an athlete, because you could say you gave it all you got, whether you were an athlete, whether you were a journalist, a player development coach. Hey, you just gave me a shot. That's all I want. And then the rest will be the rest.
One of my favorite things to see, so I commentate Esha's Division 1 Mystics games, and Esha coaches with Rahana Khalil, and all their kids will come and watch them play. They'll be sat on the sidelines, and honestly, whenever Esha or Rahana are on the court, these kids are just screaming and cheering and shouting, and they're just so supportive. And even if you're down 20, they're still like, yeah, come on, Rahana. on Ish, and it's so awesome to see. And that's you know, under 12s, they're going to grow up, and obviously, like yourself, Isha, you've grown up with female coaching, so that's hopefully a positive change for this generation.
Yeah. I also think
it's like
oh, sorry, go. No, you
no,
go.
I was just gonna say, like, so, like, basically, there's a coach at our club, Natalie Furtado. She was my coach when I first started. Literally, I've had her for about 4 or 5 years, maybe. I had it like consecutively. But now I actually play with her because I've been able to. She's a young coach. Been able to play with, so being able to play with someone that I look up to like that is kind of, it's really, it's great. Basically, that's why we should just get more females involved.
There's I read in one of the books before that you always kind of want to put yourself in a position where your idol now becomes your rival. So now where you're on the exact same stage and you belong with them, and it's like the equivalent to all those people. And because he's the best case scenario and case study of LeBron, where like a story I'm pretty sure you guys probably also saw where like Jason Tatum admitted that when he was 10, he got turned down by LeBron's autograph. Yeah. And look, he is standing next to him playing Team USA, but then also played against him, dunked against. Like, I couldn't imagine like something like that. I've never gotten the opportunity to do that. I think it would be so surreal. Like, it's going to be the equivalent to like the Bronny James and LeBron James kind of example, right? But something so cool to be alongside of like a coach that you played with. You understand their intentions. You have then that relationship that is so important. And then that's that trust that I go back to, where now you have that in wherever you want to go towards your goals, your aspirations. Like, you know, this person has that best interest in you and will mentor you into those things that they've learned along the way. And once again, that path that they've created. So I think that's super cool that you even got to experience a little low-key jealous on. But it's something that always lighted me up at the university as well. When we had all those kids in the junior programs and they come and they see us. And even when I was playing in Germany, you had the younger clubs that we would go and help coach with, or I would, in the free time. And yeah, they look up to you. And I will say sometimes I think we take it, or at least I do. I got to speak for myself here, but take it for granted. Like, you never know like the impact that you're actually making. And so that's something that I've definitely had to realize when I'm working with any young player. It's like, wow, like I'm actually making an impact. I probably don't know how big I'm making it right now, but I at least have to acknowledge it. And that's pretty cool.
I was reading some of the testimonials.
Sorry, go on, Kaz.
I was reading some of the testimonials on your Unbounded Athletes website, and players were just constantly saying like how supportive you are and how everything's a learning experience. You know, if they miss a shot, you're not mad at them. You're explaining and you're helping them teach them that it is a whole learning experience. And I just thought that's amazing. The amount of feedback on the same, you know, that she makes us feel so supported was just, I love reading that.
Yeah, I think it's something that really was never encouraged. Once again, like as the game's evolving and like eras, no coach was ever saying like, or congratulating you for a miss. Like, they were just like ringing you out, right? So different approaches, and now taking in culture, generation, time of the world, all those are factors that you have to take into consideration as a coach, as a player development coach. But absolutely, like, it's providing that safe space for them to fail, for them to explore, because then that honestly, like, redefining failure is lessons, and those mistakes are just revealing what really is the solution that we need to find. So those girls still, the parents, even while I'm out here, they're still texting me and updating me and sending me pictures and them playing on the national teams and all that sort of stuff. So they're still my hugest fans and support. But I honestly wouldn't be here without that original group. I really wouldn't, because they trusted in me as much as I believed in them. And it was, those girls I call them my tiny killers. They'll still be my tiny killers, even though they're pretty grown up now. But it's just so cool to still see them evolve. But yeah.
So on like a sort of a relationship between like the coach and the players, do you think that, I mean, if you're a girl, having that connection with a female coach is kind of, I think it's a stronger bond between a female player and a female coach, in opposed to a male coach and a female player? Do you think it doesn't really make a difference?
I think that would really be based off of who you are personally. Like for me, I didn't mind if I was being coached by a male or a female. Like I said, my best friend and player development coach, Matt, like he's like my brother. But some females, and I will even say, like, even now experiencing it as well, like, yeah, I would feel something a little different. Each relationship and the dynamic is always different between anybody in any space. But I do think it goes back to that sense of relatableness, because they kind of get something that somebody didn't have to experience themselves. Like a male didn't have to experience maybe always kind of getting brushed aside or all those sort of things. So that, I think, evolutionary wise and psychology within us as human beings is why maybe, yes, we gravitate a little more towards the gender. But I do believe it will come down to personal preference and just how you connect and make relationships with others. But I do acknowledge the fact, and I do see, like I told you, my mentors expressing to me that no, females will really weigh your relationship and your word a lot heavier than maybe the words of another male. So I would say it goes like hand in hand. But if you're aware of it, though, I think you could create and really capitalize and foster that relationship into something even greater. Yeah.
So I'm just conscious of time, so we know you've got.
Yeah, we could still go until like
Cool.
your questions. Yeah.
Okay. So I just a statistic I read recently. So the Sport England Active Lives for Children and Young People did a survey earlier this year, and they found that in the age group of 15 to 16, 69% of boys were engaging in team sport, compared to just 47% of girls in the same age group. And we know what happens to girls' participation in sport after 16, drops off a cliff for some of them. What do you think is the way to keep young girls, get them into sport in the first place, maybe not just basketball, but then keep them there after that 16 age group?
At the end of the day, it would really be based off of those unique experiences. And what makes those unique experiences is creating unique environments that allow for learning, allow for mistakes and errors, allow for joy and really unusual things to occur and to be explored in. And so that's why the approach to training that I take in more modern ones is, yeah, like it's fun. It's, you want me to do what? You want me to spin in the air? You want me to bear crawl, sumo wrestle somebody? I thought I was playing basketball. All these things, like those memories and funny times, like my tiny killers, every time like we had the hour-and-a-half practice, I said, okay, like we're done. They're like, what? That was so fast. That was so fun. And like to hear those words for me told me like, damn, I designed, like I hit it. Okay, good. I provided them what they needed. And B, it was like also feedback for me of, okay, I'm doing something right. I need to continue learning and diving and providing them this. And so I think keeping them in the sport is providing them those unique experiences, those different voices. I think that's also one of the biggest things, is that if you only experience one coach, one voice, if that voice is not a good voice, there's a reason why that stat is up high. But if you go and I experience Kaz, and then I experience Esha, and then I experience somebody else, and I'm thinking, okay, like, I like Kaz, but I like Esha way better. And that other coach, oh man, no way. But I think the voice, so that they don't start to associate a negative experience to that main sport, and that allows them to go away. So I think the biggest thing is, one, giving them a lot of variety within their movements. Even when it's a specialized sport, you shouldn't be specializing until you're beyond 16. So I think that is the biggest issue as well, is that there's not enough early diversification, and it's just early specialization. And that's where you get the burnout. That's where you get the decrease in motivation and everything, and you're written off. And when when coaches are not thinking you should be here, but you're all the way back here, yeah, that decreases everything. So everything plays hand in hand. So I think a lot more needs to come from different voices. You need to give them a space to be more than just that player, but that athlete, that kid, that like just fun, active individual who's having fun with friends, because those are the stuff that you're going to really remember a lot more than what the score was or the stats. You'll remember what your friend had pregame meal that made them really, really sick, and then coach was like really after them, and it was like, oh man, coach, but you didn't know this. And so like you remember that stuff. So it's the voice, it's giving them more learning experiences, more learning contexts. And I think also it's giving them that notion, that little message that I told you previously of at the back of your head, hey, great, you want to play this at the next level, you want to do all it really good. What are you going to do afterwards? Like, cool, like let's not have that your focus. Let's not think what you want to do for your job for the rest of your life. No, but can you give me maybe something? Like, what's that kind of interest? And giving them that spark. So I think it's like that 3 kind of things that I think would really increase that stat, because if they hear a lot more voices as well, then they'll stumble upon the one that they really relate to, that maybe they're now aspiring to, like in yourself, Esha, with like now your coach and helping now in that path, all because you played with them. Like, so you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to network with in this world. So I always say you never turn down the first invite. You don't know where it's going to take you. So I do believe that stat could be increased by things that we could control. Absolutely. But let's give them a lot more diversified experience, learning and playing. And at the same time, different voices, so that they could just, if my career isn't in basketball playing pro, maybe it's in covering basketball, doing journalism. Maybe it's doing player development. Like that's the coolest thing. So allowing them to understand, hey, like be that basketball player for now, but back your mind, like what's that next greatest thing too, right?
Yeah, so on the sort of area of the drop off of the age group of girls, do you think that for older people especially, so say people who might have taken some time out and want to go back into basketball, I think there's a lack of opportunity for people to play just like for fun at like sort of a grassroots level for them, like older females?
I don't, okay, like I would say it's still scarce, because everybody is wanting to be like under 16 is what kills me. They want to just have the short-term win and like win the championship here and be good like right now. When in reality at 14, you are just starting. You should be horrible. Like, let's be real. Why are you going to want to win the championship at 14 years old? Congratulations. Okay. What's that going to mean? Like they have to start to look at it as a step rather than like that's our pinnacle. So I think the emphasis, the focus, the intention is what is driving those opportunities down. So they only want high performance. They only want winning people. No, like create those spaces where can you get them to understand that it's development? It's going to be rocky for a few years before it kind of gets good. Because like everyone wants the rocky cutscene, the end montage, but no one wants all the stuff beforehand. And all the stuff beforehand is what lasts years. The montage lasts 30 seconds. So it's understanding that. But I do see a lot less opportunities for those safer spaces. And I communicate to any athlete, like, I'll work alongside of you if you want to get better for yourself, have the game teach you those life lessons. If you don't want to take basketball seriously as I did, or want to go to the highest levels like other people, I respect that. I'm still cool with that. Like, I take on anything, but I think a lot of coaches, just when they hear a kid that doesn't want to take it seriously, they're just like, I'm going to invest in somebody else. So no, you still need those players. You still need to give them those opportunities, but definitely you don't see open pickup runs or spaces for females. No, you don't. So I think there does need to be more spaces, but I also think like it needs to be communicated better as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. And like we're lucky in Manchester. So I don't know if you're familiar with Jade Bow-Butters. She set up the Female Basketball Association in Manchester in the Northwest. And so it's a huge variety of age groups. So we've got players from like 15 to 50. And it's casual scrimmages in a mini league that we've got. But she also builds up the league to give people a chance to learn table officiating, to learn reffing, to learn coaching in a space for females that, they may be not as confident to go and ref a guy's game because of that. And it's a really awesome thing that she's done in the Northwest. It's getting bigger and she's spreading it. And I feel like something like that is a really great opportunity for players that do maybe, can play at a high level, but also for players that just want to go socialize, have a fun Tuesday, Wednesday, and just keep fit.
Well, that was like back at home, like me and my close group of girls, we all actually played university together, but we're all like different ages. So it's very rare because teams will always switch like every year, but we had gaps in recruitment or players left, so they weren't really graduating. So we played together, and so we still like are super close to this day. We like our group chat always goes off, and we're good. We're also good friends. So sorry that we're good and we're friends and we make a team, because when we walked into the gym and they're playing us, they're like, great. And we're like, no, like we want, and because we're all still competitive too, like, yes, it was our time to like, hey, we miss playing with one, or we still want to play, we still want to compete. But yeah, like we're just not going to go there and like this team's walking up and down the court. We're like, damn. And so back at home, there was really only one opportunity for us. And our only like really competitive game was against our rival university, the one that Michelle coaches at, with all of their alumni who were all their friends. And like now we're all friends together. But that game was, even at like after university, like they had to bring in the real like bigger refs because like we still hated each other. But that's what we wanted. We wanted that competition, but it was only us two in like the whole season. So like, yeah, back at home in Canada, there was not something like this, like a league that could do that. And it's even greater to have that space of like, okay, exposing them to, maybe I do like officiating. Maybe I do want to be at the table or being a play-by-play. And so it's, once again, it's going back to, can you then open them up to, yeah, you could still be involved in the sport, in the game, in basketball, if you don't want to physically play it, but you could now become it beyond or behind the scenes. And like my best friend, so she also played at the university. So she's actually my age, and we met when we were grade 7 and playing for the national team. right? So she is huge in the operations for the pro franchise back in our hometown in the Sea Bowl League for the Sea Bears. And like she could play pro, but she didn't want to because she just saw it as like business, and that wasn't for her. That the game wasn't a job. She didn't want that. And so she wanted to still be around it in some sort of capacity. And this gets her both worlds. So she does game day operation, all this sort of stuff, but she still feels like that player and a part of it. It's the best of both worlds merging. So it's the same with like how both of you experience it, how I do. Like we're still around the game, but like in those different capacities. So it's super cool to hear a space like that provided. And it's getting them that exposure where, yeah, more females come in, and now we have that retention. And I think there needs to be a lot more people who want to take that initiative and provide that then. So I think that's amazing.
Sorry, Ish, were you going to say something?
You can go if you have something.
So what's next for you, Kerri? What's the summer looking like in getting ready for the start of the season?
Oh, next up, it's the ending of the summer. Summer is really big, high time where I do lots of camps, clinics, investing in myself and my education as well to further continue in this space. And this upcoming week, in a few days, I head out to Italy to run a huge camp alongside my mentor. And so I think it's an incredible experience. I cannot wait to see all these athletes from different countries, be in a different country, and do a camp. And then also alongside my mentor, it kind of like going back to you, Esha, where it's, I guess that's my version of actually really experiencing who I played with or who I grew up watching and playing with, to be kind of at that table and now doing something with them. That's pretty cool from a professional, but also personal standpoint. So we have that Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. So amazing. And then I have about a few weeks before gearing up for my first time at the start of the season, because I came and I arrived here in January. So I arrived in like the middle, near the end of club season, ending of regional, national academy stuff. So I get to officially start with all these athletes, with the selected clubs that I will be with the entire season as their player development coach, providing those additional sessions. And then also with the national academy, regional academy for the U14 specifically, and in charge of that development, exposing them to different types of training and preparing them for our U15 and our U17 coaches and programs that I am close with. And so continue just to grow this culture, shift the dynamic, and start to kind of get a lot more Scots on Team GB and into that pathway. So it got one big, huge last week for the summer. And then I like just always being immersed into it. So I got about a week until I can't wait, like full blown. So I'm super, super excited.
Are you
That
going to
sounds good.
Are you going to be able to catch any of the Olympics while you're over in Italy? Or well, it's not in Italy, but like you're going to be able to catch Team Canada.
I tried where like, because I circled like once the camp, because it starts like on the 26th, which is like when I'm starting camp, so the basketball portion of it. And actually when I'm ending camp on the Sunday, so on the 4th, is like the final group stage of, and especially I had my eye out on that group of death of Japan, Belgium, France, and Germany, and the US and Germany, Belgium and Japan. And gosh, guys, unless you like know somebody or something that I can't find, gosh damn, I can't get a ticket. But I did have like wanting to just like maybe like spontaneously come back, just go there, wander the streets, like be around it, right? But I don't think I could, as of now. I don't know. I like spontaneity. I don't, not as of now, unfortunately. But
I mean, that group, I'm so excited for all of those games.
Yeah, like honestly, I think it's like I would have pushed harder. Like my best friend still like grew up with her as well. She unfortunately just like missed it. So she was a roster spot or a practice player was named. So unfortunately, she did not make the Olympic 12. And then she just like went back home after their exhibition games. So she just missed out. And I said, okay, 2028, when it's in LA,
Yeah,
that's going to be the one. So if she did make it, because I said to her all like coming up, because I knew how close it is. I said, if you make that team, I will sell a limb. I don't care. I will go there. So the fact that she didn't, kind of less entitled to go, but if she was, I would have been there like sleeping under a bridge. I could care less to see my friend in the Olympics and do her dream. So yeah, all the games are going to be great.
Yeah, it was looking good. I mean, to be fair, not for basketball, but for a lot of the sports, you can still get tickets. It's not the tickets that's the problem. It's more like I don't know. Someone was telling me the other day, but it's more like it's so expensive, like the travel, the like hotels and stuff. It's just a bit, it's a bit of a difficult one. But
that's the thing. It's like I'd want to like go in there for like the competition and then like leave out unscathed. But like swimming, gymnastics, like I love all like the non-conventional sports. But hey, if you two are going, you have to at least like inform me.
I'm not going, but I'm working on it.
But you're not working on it.
You're working.
I'm not going to Paris. I'm in the like a Salford office for BBC Sport. I'm logging, so I'm working on the Olympics, but I don't know which sports yet. I start tomorrow actually. So yeah,
that's awesome.
How long are you out there for the 2 weeks?
I'm not in Paris. Sorry, I'm working in the offices here in Manchester. So I'm not going to Paris, but in my mind, I've got 4 years to get myself in a position where I will be going to next ones. Hopefully,
yes, ma'am. There it is. Yeah. Not hopefully. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
2028.
LA as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's can they not? Salford and Paris are not quite on a par, are they?
No, only just not.
Yeah, but that'd be so cool. So I'll definitely like watch some of the games. But man, it's going to be incredible, especially because like of also like how the world has now recognized the female game. Like even the 3x3 and their debut in this, when 3x3 has been going on for a damn hot minute in Europe, and now finally just in these last few years, North America has caught wind of it. But hey, man, it's always been around in Europe. And like what this Olympics is going to do for the game of basketball, but like 3x3 and then like the female game, man, it's going to be wild then in LA. So I can't wait to see kind of it all unravel, really.
It's going to be absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, Kerri, this has been absolutely amazing. It's so great to speak to you. I'm so glad we could do this and make the time. You absolutely welcome to come back anytime if you want to come and have a chat.
Please. Yeah, I would, because what you two are doing for just the awareness and providing the platform, but the intent on what you're focusing on and trying to continue to push the word, and not only like are you taking action with it, but you're also constantly immersed in it and getting yourselves in these positions and meeting these people, networking, and then coming across paths with myself. And I just truly respect both of you, and I appreciate what you are doing and providing for those athletes, and not just the athletes, but the sport and the different capacities and spaces you can be in this kind of world of female basketball. So I appreciate your time, and just like I said, the platform. At any time I would love to come on.
Oh no, thanks for like taking the time. But if we didn't have people like you in the sport, then we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. So yeah.
Exactly. Oh, appreciate that.
Thank you. So Kerri, if people want to have a chat to you, want to follow you, see some of the work that you're doing, do you have a social media that they can follow? I mean, I know the answer, but you can throw it out.
Yeah. So the biggest platform and my main one that I rock with is Instagram. So at Coach Kuz, coach.kuzz. And that's where I put up a lot of the content with regards to if you need to train on your own, if you want to ask me a question, whether that's a player, that's a coach, anything, the more people that I can network with in this world and provide value or help and work alongside with, the better. I do have X I use as like just a lot of kind of thoughts and language that I like to reword and that have helped me and put things in perspective. So that is kind of my second biggest one. But you'll find me a lot on Instagram and you'll get right to me if you go there. So
awesome. And Ish, where can people find you?
Instagram at Esha Nayar _ LinkedIn, Esha Nayar. LinkedIn is my favorite. If you have LinkedIn, please add me. Obviously, Esha Nayar on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, all the same. And then you can check my website as well. Got blog posts, I have all my interviews. That's link in bio on all my socials as well. Yeah. How can we find you, Kaz?
For me, I'm still bad at remembering my Instagram handle. It is CB3Hoops at.
And she side eyes it.
To all my other ones. But yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Kerri. Thanks so much, Esha. Have a great time in Italy, Kerri, and enjoy Salford.
Will do. Thanks, Kaz.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.